And let's get our disclaimers out of the way right now. We're going to be looking at the Aussie US to start off with, but let's get this thing out. It's Thursday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll be going to about 9:50, 10 o'clock-ish, some around there today. Trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendations will be provided. Any trade taken during this live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and do not trade money you cannot afford to lose. Before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies rules for entry, exit, targets, and risk management. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go over to the charts. And we're looking at the Aussie US. We had an alert earlier this morning at 4:45. And it's been going back and forth and back and forth. It's been sort of we had a, let me just take this off and I'll draw this out for us so you see where we are. Oops, wrong one. Let's get this back on here. Right now the Aussie is showing a lot of strength. So we're basically on the, right now I'm taking this thing long. Here's the original alert. We just got a new alert right over here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this yellow line as, we had this as what I call the secondary alert. The original alert back here was, we were looking at, let me get my 15-minute chart up here. And let me just take some of this off so it doesn't clutter up so bad. And with the original alert, we had a pivot high, a pivot low, tucked our D. We started off with the A all the way back here. It was a descending alert, so I started my A up top, came down to pivot low. The next, the C was a lower high. The D was a higher low. Add those 2 points together, and then as the trade progressed, it kept making lower highs and higher lows. So that's where the secondary wedge is coming into play. So if I go to my 5-minute chart, we'll just take it from this point. So the main wedge is the orange one, all the way up here. And right now I'm looking, if this thing comes up, it's going to come up to retest this area. This is a bit of a supply zone, which is where we had a strong wick up, came back down, retested this area. So right here is where I'm looking, put this right above this red candle and to the peak of the C level. And this is where I'm considering the new supply zone. This is where I'm looking at this thing heading to. But that's right where the upper wedge is coming out into play. We had just had this other alert right now. And that was, so I'm going to use this as this was the alert. I'm going to take my A over here where the D was. And I'm going to, actually, let me just redraw this whole thing here. Maybe worthwhile doing that. Take this off as well. One thing, I'll get back to these in a minute here. So the secondary wedge, here's this second alert. We had a low, a high, had a higher low. This is just barely higher, but it was higher. This is pretty much an equal top, a little bit lower, higher low, lower high. Now this was the head fake right through here. It came back out, broke through, and now we have this other, which is breaking through right now as we speak. So here is the anchor of the new wedge. This is a secondary wedge, high. Here's a low. Here's a lower high. We're going to tuck this in as close to where the wedge alert was. Here's our anchor. Here's our intermediate hit. We had to close inside that area, which is have for this interval close. We did get the close on that. And now we're looking at retesting this zone right up in here right now. And we've got a little bit of a profit out of it so far. I did take the trade right as it closed inside this area. And we're just seeing if it's going to continue going on to the upside. On my 15-minute chart, I'm just going to take some of this off of just this chart so you can just see the price action on this. Bear with me for a second. And the moving averages are, right now we have the 15-minute 62 moving averages right here. We had the 5-minute moving average, which now is, and they're starting to get a little bit tired together. We had the nice breakout of it. So these are, right now, these were what we were, it was kept coming back in and out of this zone earlier this morning. Now it's breaking through that. So I'm just going to take these off right now. They're not really much in play at the moment. All of our moving averages are in the right direction on the 15-minute. They're in the correct direction on the 5-minute. The green, yellow, purple. And we have the green, yellow, white, which is our 1-minute. So right now it's starting to, it broke out of that zone and now it's starting to trend. It's going to come up here and retest this area up here where the supply zone is, and which is the top of the original wedge, which we had earlier this morning. So right now we're starting to show a little bit of, and now the question is, so right now we have, I almost have my 7 pips right now. It's going to be right pretty much to the top of this zone. The question is going to be is if it's going to be able to break this 15-minute zone. Let's go to a higher time frame. I'm going to be kind of quick about all this. And so this is the first area it's got to get through. And then once it gets through, we have all these other wicks way over here. We have to pay attention to that. And here's the top of the red candle, the highest red candle here. I'm going to take this on over. So this is the next zone it's going to have to break through. And if it can break through that, it's going to go probably significantly higher. But we have to see how much higher that's probably going to go because we don't know what's on the left side of the chart. I'm going to go to a higher time frame and see if I can find something. And here it is. So if it can break through this area, I'm looking at this candle right here, which is back on Tuesday. And this is going to be the new area of what I would call a supply zone, right to this, pretty much in this area right here. So if we can get the breakthrough of this region where this first wedge was, where the higher time frame wedge was, this is going to be the next zone that we're going to be looking at right in this area. Let's go back to my 15-minute chart and see where we are here.
Looks like it just bounced off that trend line from the first wedge.
Yeah, bounced right off the trend line. It did. Move that out of the way and move this one, move this back a little bit. Maybe tweak this up just a little bit. That came right up and it just bounced. So here was the anchor. Here is the hit. It came right up and hit with that. I'm going to move this C over. Whoops. I'm going to move the C over. Now that validates this trend line right here. We have the anchor, the hit, and then the retest of the trend line. And there's our third point on the trend line. So this was validated. Now if this thing gets broken, I'm going to be looking for a close above this level. If it closes inside this region, then I'm looking for it to go up longer. It has to, I want to get a close inside that region. And I can accept a close on 1 minute or a 5-minute chart. It's up to you which time frame you want to use. Either one is going to be valid. I'm going to tweak this over just a little bit. Again, all our moving averages in the right direction. And it's looking pretty good right now still. We still have strength with the Aussie. The Aussie just now became the strongest currency of the pair on all 3 time frames. So that gives us a lot of room to the upside. I don't want to be taking it short right here, and there's still some room possibly for it to come up and break through this area. Let's give it a little bit of time and see what it does. It broke out that range. We had a nice range between 72.75 and 72.65 pretty much all morning long, and now it just finally broke out of that range, which is this area right in here that we were looking at. It's having a little trouble getting through where the top of this wedge is. Any questions so far?
We have a question from Rachel, but it has to do with setting up on an account, on her trade account. Rachel, if you're ready to go on LCMFX already, you have an account with them, you can go onto their site and set up, I'm assuming you want to start with a demo account, but you can set up either a demo or a live account right when you get into their website. Does that make sense?
Just make sure that you're using the referral link so that you get the proper feed. Don't just go to their website.
Where to get the referral link from?
From their sponsor.
Yeah,
if they don't get the referral link from their sponsor, then they can reach out to one of us.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we'll we have a little break today. I'll put the link in the chat box so that we have it here. I'll have to dig it up, but yeah, we'll get it.
Yeah, but make sure you're using that so that you get the right feed. If you just go to their website, you're not going to get the feed that we've brokered with them. So they give us like a really good feed, good price, and reduced commissions and a whole bunch of other stuff. So
yes, it's worth using the link. Yeah,
it is, absolutely.
Oh, she said she's already got demo and live accounts set up.
Oh, she does. Okay. She
probably, then I'm not understanding the question.
No, neither am I. Maybe just rephrase it, Rachel. Rephrase your question. Maybe help us understand. Is it that you need help setting up your MetaTrader 4? Or what step are you at?
Oh, she's asking, I may be wrong, but do I need a trade account also? That would be your trade account. If you have a live and a demo already set up, that's your account that you'd be trading under. It just needs funding.
Maybe she thinks what we're using here, Trading View.
Oh, possibly.
It might be Trading View. So you don't really need a Trading View account to trade, but you can get a free version. It's limited and restricted, but there's a free version that you can use, and it'll still give you access to a lot of the tools. At least you can get used to it and see if it's something that you want to add to your arsenal. But a lot of people have decided to pay a little bit more for Trading View subscription because the tools that we're given access to are pretty powerful, especially considering MetaTrader 4 is not nearly as powerful as Trading View, at least in my opinion and my experience.
It's not as user friendly.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah,
by far. I only use MetaTrader 4 for executing my trades. I don't do any analysis on MetaTrader 4.
This thing's came right up to the top of this original wedge which we had from 4:45 this morning, and it's just now it has had a nice strong little run up right to the top of the wedge, and now it's spacing right below it. That's a good sign for a breakthrough if we can get this thing as a continuation pattern. And it might have a little bit of a pullback first before it does. It could actually still go on the other side of the wedge. But as we use this, as we can move this over now a little bit. And you can see I actually did make a little bit of a lower low. And that was right before this move to the upside. And we'll just have to sit on our hands right now and wait to see what happens. Any other questions?
Could you show the wedge on a 15-minute chart again? As Janine
Sure,
asking.
yeah, on the 15-minute. There's the 15-minute. This is the okay, this is the one out of the orange. This is the one that we had earlier this morning. This is the one that's still what I'm concerned by, still the primary wedge. Here is the overnight high. Here is the overnight low. At a lower high, at a higher low. So the original wedge was right here. This was back this morning. And this was where the alert came through. Now this is done now. But I'm still going to keep that there just for a reference. And then from this time, it was trading in a very narrow range. It was still making lower highs and higher lows. So it was still spooling up. And then we had right at this, right at the 8:15, 8 o'clock candle, when that opened up, we had an area right in here that is right now still testing inside of this area. This was just the wick. You can see where actually this was where they had a red candle, another red candle. This was just the zone I was looking at where I wanted to see it close. I wanted to see it close above this red candle and this red candle. Actually, I want to see it close above that, which this blue candle right here at the time, this is on a 15-minute candle, it closed above that. This was the last, what I call the supply zone right here. We got to close above all these other red candles, and now it's looking to come into this area where we have the top of this strong move down. This is where the red candle started. We had 3 consecutive 15-minute candles. And so this is the zone now that it's in, and this is right where the wedge is to break out. If it can break above this area right here with this wick, if it can close above this wick, it means it's also going to be closing. We're going to be looking at this region where the A was, which was the high. So that's the peak. Here was another, this is our lower high. If we can get it closed inside this region, it's going to come up and probably retest this area, which we found a spot over here, which is where we had the strong move up. And this is where this whole down move started all the way back here. So it's coming up to retest this area. And since this was the blue candle, came up, strong wick up, came up, and then we had this is where the red candle started. It came down and made lower lows all the way down. So this region right here, the top of this red candle and the top of this wick, that's our supply zone. So once this thing breaks through, this would be the next area where the sellers came into play. So this would be the possible target. And if you look at our Fibonacci prices, we have a strong blue line on the 15-minute chart, which at 72.94. So that would be I'm going to be using that as my first initial target once we get this break. And there'll be some other targets in between here, but I'm going to mark this one of a 15-minute. This is a strong area right here. If I can get this back up again. Let's try this again here. This would be a 15-minute blue zone. That's going to be right there at 94. I said we can get this thing to break through. That's the target we're looking at on the 15-minute chart. If I come over here to the 5-minute chart, do the same thing. We can probably find another area a little bit closer. And that's going to be right in, well, we just had the break above this area, and this is 21 pips from here. This is a significant area. This is our 15-minute or 5-minute red area. And that's already been broken. And that was the area that really got broken. Now we have a nice move up, a little basing right underneath this top of the wedge. And we'll just see if it can break through the top of here. Like I said, I want to see, at this point, I like to see a close into this blue region where it says enter to close. I like to see a close in that after it breaks the wedge and closes. And then I think we can go up higher to around this 7294 area. You can see it's forming a little bit of a wedge right in this area right here. There's a little bit of a wedge. We have a low, a high, higher low, lower high. Here's our wedge. And I'm going to make this one white. And if I come over here to my 1-minute chart, I just keep on fine-tuning these points. And right now, I would like to keep my stop below this 62, this 1-minute 62 moving average. There's a lower high. And it's starting to make a little bit of a lower low, but still has to get through this area. And we wait. Come over to our 5-minute chart and take a look and see how it's looking on that chart. You can still see it's still, all our moving averages are still in the right direction, and we're looking at it bouncing off this yellow moving average, which is a nice pullback. If we can get a good bounce off of that, we should get a little bit of a springboard to get up into this area. If not, we've got to be concerned about this level right here, this purple line. And that one should hold. We had the crossover, and this one should hold. This should be the last pullback before it breaks to the upside. We had a nice little cross on the 60 to 13 moving average, which is the yellow one. And the purple was a 62. We have a nice little cross of that, and it's starting to widen out in direction. So right now, my stop can be right below, somewhere below this 62 moving average. And this time, we have my stop somewhere right around the visual. I'm just going to have a visual stop, probably right about in here, this area. I want to give it enough room to breathe, but I don't want to be, I don't want to give it too much room, but I should not get a close below this purple line. You see how it came down and tagged that yellow line, tagged it and went right back up again. That's a pretty strong rejection.
I love it.
And we'll see what it looks like on the 1 minute. Everything's still holding. The 62 held. You see we have a little bit of an M pattern here. Start from here, we have an M pattern. I can probably even go a little bit, take this one down a little bit lower. High, higher low, lower high. Now I'd like to see this thing break above this BD area. This was the test right here.
In 5 minutes, there's another Euro announcement, ECB conference.
Okay, that was in, what time is 8:30? Yes, it's 8:30. Yep, that should be the last red folder announcement on the Euro. In fact, this is an Aussie-US pair. It shouldn't have too big of an effect other than the fact of the overall strength of the relative strength in within the currencies. But this one shouldn't really be affected too much by the euro announcement. And it looks like gold's starting to get a little bit of strength today. And we'll see how this thing works. Right now it's still spooling up inside this area. The Aussie's hasn't been committing very well this morning. A lot of times you get these moves and it comes in and then just takes off and commits, but this one hasn't been doing it. It's been staying pretty well range bound today. So I'm still looking at this as being the target zone. If it can break through, I'm still looking at that being the target.
My New Zealand trade stopped me out.
Did it?
Mm-hmm. It's moving much like the Aussie.
Yes, I didn't want to get into both of them with the same patterns that they're doing.
Yeah, they move very similarly. They're almost like clones.
Yeah.
I've taken a few losses on the Aussie this morning, so I'm just, this will probably be my last trade with it. If it's either going to win or it's not, and then I'll be done trading it.
Today or forever?
Well, today, maybe forever, at least for today. I'll give it a couple times, and then after that, I just say it's just not the patterns or the price action just doesn't fit the trade plan. Any other questions from anybody? The other thing I'm looking at also, as you try to take note of, is on the 15-minute chart. I'll look and see where the price action has been from the overnight action, like from this A to the B. This is the bigger move. And it's basically still trading inside this region. So what I'd like to do, let me just take this off here. Now, clear all this stuff off. And I like to draw some fib lines from the high, which is actually, we could probably take it all the way over here for that matter. Here's some nice anger. Here's a hit. Here's a hit. So this is really the fourth hit on this trend line. So this tells me it's once it can break through this area, things will be might give us what we need, but it still has to get through that. And so what I do is what I've started doing a little bit here is drawing the basic Fibonacci lines from the A to the B. And this is really the area that it's been trading in between up here and down here. So this is the upper 25%. This is the lower 25%. So we can make this be where price was rejected before, and it came on up to this area. And so we can actually duplicate this here and hit clone. And I'd put this right here on the upper 25% of the range. And you can see that right now inside this range, it's been going inside this range ever since 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. This is the new day right here. and it's having a hard time getting through. So it has to break through this high up here. Now it did come up, and here's the high. It did penetrate it this deep. It penetrated. It got a little bit lower high, but if it can break through this and close, and that's where I can get my zone to if it can close above. Let's see where it is here. It can close in this region right here where the top of the C is. So you break the wedge and then close into this region. And that would be where I'd be looking at to be able to break through. And this is the breakthrough area right in here. I'll just pull this on out. You can see it came up to the wedge, couldn't hold it. Now it's probably going to come back down, maybe retest the bottom of the wedge. But right now it's still very range bound. It's just making lower highs and it's making higher lows. This D is still higher than the B, so it's still higher. It did break this thing a little bit, but it still wasn't able to get down into this region. This is a nice little push up.
That's a substantial move.
This must be at the 8:30. This was this is where that came right up to the top of the wick. And like I'm saying, I've got my target is. I say I need to make my target area here. Take profit at 72. I'm going to say 72.94. 7294. I'll back it off just a little bit below that. Oops, wrong one. There's 10, there's 12 pips for me. I'm out of that one. I've got one more left. There was our 7 pip move. We've got our 7 pips on this. We'll see if it's going to go on up and tag that the top of that pip line.
Yeah, just took 8 pips as well. Could it be maybe that Euro announcement did have some effect on it? Because
I'm thinking
it's
it
just
did.
since that announcement that it's starting to move real fast.
I'm thinking that's pretty much. I'm thinking that's what happened because it was right at the 8:30 where the announcement came in, and that was a nice big move.
Euro
One
got
thing about the
stronger.
euro, it does affect the U.S. So
That's what I was thinking.
yeah,
Dollar
I
died
could,
because of the euro. So yeah, awesome.
yeah. And let's see, like I say, right now, if we can get the close, we'll see if this thing can close. Let's put it on a 5-minute chart. See where it is on the 5-minute. And it's still pushing up for this target zone right up in here.
Quick question, Al. What's your spread on the Aussie now?
On the Aussie right now, my spread is
Also a lot.
oh boy, look at that. There it is.
Wow.
Just hit the target. It's hard to read it, it moves so fast. I'm looking at about a 1 pip spread.
Kinda matches mine.
It's 88.8, 90. I can't calculate that fast. It doesn't actually give me the spread number. Oh, maybe it can. I just can't. I can't read it that fast. It's moving too fast. It's right around 88.9. It's about 1.5 right now. Roughly 1.5.
Wow, that last 1 minute candle alone was 7 pips.
Yeah, and it's still going. It's coming right up
Yep,
into the supply zone.
just like you said.
And let's go to a higher time frame, see if we can find this on the 15-minute chart here. I'll take this
Yeah,
off.
the move's not probably not done because it looks like a harmonic wave convergence on another side, but
Let's see here. Here's the, like I said, over here was on a 15-minute chart. This was the area where he said this. Remember, I said where the wicks are. Here was the. Look. You just keep going to the left, and you see where the red candle, where you had the blue candle, the nice move up with the blue candles, big wick, and then you had this red candle, and then you just start getting a series of red candles. And so, once you can get up to this area, it comes right up into it. You can see right, it came up right to the bottom of where this red candle right over here. It came right up to the bottom of that, and that's where the sellers started coming. This is where the sellers took over, right to that point. And coming in up, sellers are coming right back in again, pushing back down. And if you look and see this A with this wedge pattern, you can see here's the W. Here's the one leg of the W. The middle of the W comes back down, retests the bottom, and then it comes back up and takes the. And you actually get and like Matt was saying, this actually ends up being the same thing as the harmonic wave convergence, where if you let me just take all this off and show you what I'm talking about here. With a harmonic wave convergence, here's your first leg of it. If I can get this thing to, there we go. Here's the first leg, comes down to here. That's the first leg of the W. Here's the middle of the W. Here's the lower leg. You see it came up, it's a little bit above that one, and now it's coming up, and there's your, probably a butterfly or a gartley or whatever the pattern is. But that's what you're looking at. And that's really what why I like these triangles, because it can start giving you the 3 legs of it before you get to the next leg of it. And it came, like I said, it came right up into the zone up in this area. It ended up being a nice trade. It just took a heck of a long time for it to develop. And I said I got stopped out a couple of times while it was trying to spool up, but once it broke, it helps
Yeah,
to
it
make it.
just rocketed up. I'm happy that it's my first trade on the Aussie that I took today on my main account. How many pips did you catch, Al?
Oh, on this last one, I think it was about 12 or 13 pips, I think, when I finally closed it out.
Awesome.
I closed it out right there at that Fibonacci line, just before that Fibonacci line. A lot of times it comes up, it'll just fall short of it, especially these higher time frame lines. The fact that was a blue 15-minute line, that was a significant area to be paying attention to. And you can see it went up, it wicked through it. Now the question is, can it hold it? If you're looking at a lower time frame chart, I'll put the line up here.
oh, I'm trying to clean up my charts a little bit, but I have something interesting to show.
Well, go ahead.
There's too many lines right now.
Let me know when you're ready. I'll let you. We'll put you on. Anybody else have any questions about them? Anybody in Anybody have any questions about that move or what we did, why we did it? Now's a good time. Raise your hand. I'll turn your mic on for you if you like. Christine, hey Christine, welcome. Good to hear you. See you again.
Hi.
You've got the mic. Go ahead.
It's not specifically to this, but it is. When I say my question, anyway. You had said that it took a long time for it to develop, and that you had taken other trades on it.
Yeah.
Was that was within the last like time period, like in the time period in the sense of
It was within that 4:45 alert. We had one
Okay.
at 4:45. And that's where I drew that secondary wedge, which is actually the wedge which we drew after we got that second alert. So let me just take this off and I'll redraw this thing and show you how this thing played out for me.
No, I saw that. I mean, believe me, I'd be more than happy to see it again.
No,
But
that's okay.
mm, I know sometimes you had mentioned that if you have like 2 losses, is that per day or is that for that particular pair? Like how do you work that?
Well, fortunately, I don't have to make that decision very often.
Okay.
But today, I took 2 losses, and then when I got that second alert, I gave it one more shot.
Okay. Okay.
But normally speaking, is that what happens is if you like, for instance, we had this original wedge here, so
Mm-hmm.
it was the descending wedge. So we went from here to here to here and here. So
Right.
this is what I call the main wedge. This is the one I drew first thing. This was at 4:45 this morning.
Right.
Actually, I got here probably about 5 o'clock, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the main wedge. And then while it was basing inside of here, I could see that it made a high,
Mm-hmm.
and then it tagged this one. Well, when it made this high, then I was looking at it to break through. It came up, it broke. Actually, looking at this high right here, and it broke, and it got me in for some reason. It got me in on a lower time frame chart. Let's put
Okay.
this on a 5 minute. And so, yeah, basically I was looking at this line up here, but then I drew the secondary wedge from the C to this one.
Okay.
Let me think. And it didn't get me in here. Or maybe it did, actually. I think I did get in up here, and then I got out when it came down here, and it took me back up again. So after about that time, I thought, all right, this is crazy. So, but I used this because we have here's my anchor.
Right.
I think that's where, yeah, that was the anchor. And so there's my hit. And then when I got this one, I marked this area. I mean, I still kept it, but I also know that this was still higher than this D. So
Okay.
it was like we had here's a high, here's a low, a lower high, higher low, lower high, and then this one got broken.
Right.
And then when that broke, it got me in short. So I had a wedge from here to here to here, and so now I have a low, a high, a higher low, a lower high. Here's my M pattern right here. Here's my M pattern, and then it came down and it broke, and I got the close and I got in, and then I took myself out because it went back in the wedge and started reversing again.
Sure.
And so that was the secondary wedge that kind of failed on me. But then once it went up, let's see, where's my yellow one? So then once this one broke and closed above into this area between the B and the D, I drew my secondary box, if I can draw it. There we go. From the high here, the D was still lower.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take it off of this. So now I want to see it close inside here, and it took a little bit of heat again, but then it finally broke.
Correct.
New alert.
New alert. Okay, let's take a look
You,
at that
chef.
one. Oh, I usually like these this time of day.
Yeah, me
So
too.
let's take a look at it. US Swiss. Let's take a look at that one. So this trade's pretty
Ascending.
much done.
Ooh. Yeah.
US Swiss. Let's draw this one out.
I don't know about this.
Take all this. Ooh, and it was a ascending wedge on the at 8:45. Ascending. So that means we're going. Let's go to our 15-minute chart. Put this back on the 15. Clear
You
off
can't
all the.
draw a ascending wedge on this.
Yeah,
I don't see
that's
how we
what
can
I
do
was
it.
thinking.
It's
I don't
not.
see how we can do an ascending wedge on this one.
You need a low, and there's no
Yeah, we don't have a low. The
anywhere.
only way we could take a low is if we could. The only way we may be able to find one over here.
No, I looked
But
on the 4-hour chart. It's down all
yeah,
the way
there's
down.
nothing there. Yeah, I
There's
wouldn't
nothing.
take this as an ascending wedge. You can't draw it. That's a good
This is
observation.
not. This is not an ascending wedge. The only
Yeah.
ascending wedge you can make is
You'd have to use
Right.
this. You have to use this.
Before the
You have to
break.
use. You have to go all the way down here on a 3-hour chart, possibly to. The only way I could draw this. Now, this is a good example of how liberal do you want to be with your wedges. In order to make this ascending, I have to use the best I could do would be use that A, and then this was a higher, and then you have to come back up here before the alert. That's how I'd have to draw this wedge, but now you have to break here. And by this time, it's already starting to break through. You do have this area right here. Best I could do is use that as a reference. But
Yeah,
once it breaks through this, it's going to go. There's nothing to stop it until it gets down to here. Would you agree, Matt?
yeah, but this is definitely not what the system wants us to be trading.
Yeah, I don't know why they would come up with this pattern in here. I don't know how you do it. Yeah, I don't. All I can say with that is you have to wait till this thing starts to actually make a wedge down here. Is the only thing I
Yeah,
can see.
it looks like a dud to me, but yeah, you can't touch that until maybe the system knows that it's gonna make a descending wedge. Maybe there's an exact thing or ascending wedge or whatever, but there's no ascending wedge here yet.
Yeah,
Not at the 15-minute level.
Yeah, I don't know what it's looking at. I don't know why it gave that alert like it did. I wouldn't know how to trade that with a. I mean, now what would be looking at is we have this nice strong move down. We had this nice strong move up, strong move down, and now it's starting to do a little something right in here. This is on a 15-minute chart, so. Oh, there's US CAD. We went to Swiss. Why did that? How'd that change there? Let me try this again. US Swiss. Here we go. That's what we're looking at. Take all this stuff off. Right now, we have a nice strong move down, but there's no place to get in right now. You may want to look at maybe possibly this because of its area way over here. I would put this as I don't even know what to label that one. I was labeled as a target. Yeah, I don't like this at all right now. Right now, I would have to wait for it to come down and give me a little wedge down in here, and then maybe you could justify on a break to the downside or come up and retest the 62.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing any place to get in on this.
No, and I'm of that opinion as well. I'm not touching this at all. There's nothing.
Yeah. This doesn't even come close to fitting the criteria right now, so I'm going to put a pass on that one. Any other alerts that we have? US CAD at 8:40. Oh, we got US CAD. Let's try that. Let's take a look at that one.
Yeah, we don't need any crap trades right now.
Nope. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. This one looks a little bit better. That was a descending US CAD. So descending, we're looking at, that was at 845. It was right there. Descending, so we have a top here, we have a low here. Inside the daily range, here's our pivot high, here's our pivot low. That's going to be a starting point. So we have a high, it's descending, so we're going to mark our pivot high, mark our pivot low, come to the next where we can maybe see if we can get a hit, and we have a little hit right there. Come back to the alert, tuck that in right on the bottom. Here's our wedge. I'm going to make this orange. Identify this up. This is where the 15-minute time frame that we drew it on. And now we're going to be looking at the lower time frames to adjust the price points. Take the fib lines off right now until we get this thing drawn out. And you see it's had a nice move down, and now it's forming another little, this is a little basing. This thing could very well go to the downside. The cat is strong by 3 on the 15-minute chart. And we have, so on the 1-minute chart, we have a little bit of we have a nice drop. Now here's where the secondary wedge comes in. We had a nice drop, here's a drop, it based, and it dropped again. So here's where the secondary wedge is going to, we're looking at this area down here for the secondary wedge. So I'm going to be on my 1-minute chart here. I'm going to go up to the, here's the low, here's the high, here's a higher low, here's a lower high. Make this a different color. We didn't get the break. Now let's see if we get a, you see that right now it pretty much gave us a secondary hit. So, but it's, so right now we have an equal bottom right now. So I'm just going to tuck this in, flatten that out on top of that wedge. It's got a slight little incline to the upside. I'm going to pull this one out, and we're just going to, so we have an anchor. Here's a little hit. Now this is on a 1-minute, so let's see if we can do this a little bit better on the 5-minute. I don't think we can. There's our high. Now if this thing breaks, we have to look and see what the target's going to be. Let's see where our A is. Let's draw our little box. Here's where the A, do we have it close lower than this blue candle here? If we get a close in here, it could be going, it could go lower. And try and find a spot where it may give us a target. I'm not seeing anything lower over in this part. Go to 15-minute chart. Here's where the B is. We're looking, here's a wick. I say if it can break through this area right in here, if it can break below this wick here, then I'm looking at it possibly going down to this area. Let's go back to our 5-minute so we can see what we're doing. So I want to see it close below this blue candle. Here's the anchor. It broke the wedge on the primary wedge. It broke it, came down, closed below, didn't close below, couldn't close below this blue candle, so it didn't close inside of my box here. Now if it comes back up and tests the this orange area, I'm gonna take this one off. If it come up and test this and give us another push down, we may be able to take this trade. We're on a 5-minute chart. Let's go and see what it is on the lower time frame. Here's our 1 minute. And now let's see what it's going to do with this little area right in here. This is where we made a low, made a lower low. I'll see if it's going to respect this top. Be like this little trend line right in here. We have a little trend line going. RSI is coming up. It's giving us a little bit of a hook right up here out of the 60, 40, 60 range. So here's the anchor, here's the hit, here's a hit. So we have made 2 lower lows. And we're just going to see what it does. Again, the crossover of the moving averages. This one's still going to be controlling up here, this white one. Go to our 5-minute chart. All of our moving averages are in the correct direction on the 15, the 5, and the 1. They're all in the same direction. So right now we're looking for a pullback to possibly this yellow area, which is going to be the same as pretty much is the same as the 62 on the 1 minute. So I'm going to mark this. Hard time grabbing these things. Mark this. We're going to make this our 5-minute 62, which is what it is. That's going to be way up in here. Although it's a lot closer than that, but it's not. And here's our 62 on the 15-minute. I'll mark that one. And that's going to be at 33.58.
There's something that I'd like to mention, Al, if I may.
Yes,
just, you know that I still use the older entry zones, the parallel lines, 2 pip zones.
I didn't know you did that.
I've been observing it now this week since you and last week with your new entry zones, and I'm starting to notice that, yeah, your new way is way more effective, because with the older entry zones, I would have already gotten in, I would have gotten stopped out.
Well, you know, I really do like the idea that when we have these wedges and then we see where the candles are, I like getting closes below the blue candle's body to go short, and I like seeing the close above the red candle's body to go long, because that's basically where you're seeing the well, I take that. Let me rephrase that. When you get it, when you can get a higher close, like on this blue candle right here, you have here's a. If I spread this out, let's say here's a blue candle. So it couldn't close. It didn't. You don't have any close higher than this blue candle. You don't have any close higher, and this one it's a lower close, it's a lower close. This is a lower close. Now this one closed higher. So now it's starting to, you can see we're starting to reverse a little bit right in that area. So now we had, but here was, this red candle right now is saying this is where the sellers came in and the buyers lost control. Well, now if the buyers can get a blue candle to close above that, now the buyers are getting back into control again. But I'd like to see it close above. And usually you'll see these are both the same price range. That blue candle and this red candle are right at the same point. where the blue candle closed, and that's where it was rejected. So that's why I want to see it close above that level.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to understand why you wait for the close in the zone, because several candles ago in the 1 minute it wicked into the zone 2 times, but it got rejected and closed above it, which means that the buyers were still stronger. And when it closes in that zone, it means that the, how do I say this, the buy orders are less strong than the sell orders.
Exactly.
If you know what I
Exactly.
mean. Yeah.
And so like right now, I mean, this is where the beat. Now there's a pretty good little range between that, but you can see where it was still rejected. Now you see where this candle made a higher high off of where this trend line was. So it broke this trend line. So now we have a higher high. But now the question, but it still respected the 62. It still respected the 5 minute 62. It respected the 1 minute 62. And it respected the 1562. So right now, it's still showing as more of a pullback. Plus, you have a high, a low, a lower high, and now you have a lower low. So this is where you
Exactly.
can maybe get a better entry off this to maybe take another shot at it, if you, because it's already violated the trend line.
Yep. That's
And now
why
we're
I've
looking.
been waiting to use these new entry zones, because I
Yeah.
wanted to understand it first before I started to use them.
Yeah, and now if we can get if we can get these moving averages on the 1 minute to be in the right order, get the green to cross the yellow, then we have the 62, the yellow, and then the green. They'll be in the right order. And you can see this is actually forming another little, if we can get the close below this blue candle, if we can get the close below the yellow line and the green to close below the yellow 13, we could maybe take another shot at this run and be in a few pips earlier. And be looking at the close below, let's see, probably a close below this candle right in here. That would give us 5 pips before we even got down to the bottom of where this thing was rejected.
Excuse me.
Spread this out. Yes.
When there's a lull in like the activity, if it's not too long to explain or too much trouble, because you and Ruben were talking about the new entry, I have no clue what you're doing. So
Oh, yeah. This is probably new since you were with us here.
yeah,
I'll explain that. Yeah, let me
when there's
see
a
if I
lull,
can. Yeah,
yeah.
well, we're kind of having a little bit of low. We'll see if we can
Okay.
address that as we. Let me change this.
Okay.
This is a possible buy order, sell order, entry to sell. Okay, and so right now we're looking at. Right now I'm looking to see where we have this rejection of the 62, and we're starting to get. We have a little bit of a wedge up here, and if we can get a close below this candle with the moving averages crossing over, and that would say that's the end of the pullback. And here's a pullback right here. Here's where it came up to the 89, couldn't hold it. Now if we can get a break. You have to be careful though that it doesn't just base on us right now. So right now there's a little bit of a zone here that a low, a high, lower low, higher high, but it's still lower than this area right here. So we can actually draw another trend line from here to here. And now we have a new little, this is our other inside wedge. The wedge is just getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And then I'm going to address Christine's question here. Let me see if I can get a close. So right now, Christine, what we had was, this was the original formation. Let me get on the 15-minute chart here. I'll get on 5-minute. That might be easier to see. Before, when we were drawing the wedges, remember we were drawing where we had a parallel line. And we drew this and we said if it's 2 pips below where the D was,
Correct.
we would say we wanted to close inside that. That's what we used to do.
Mm-hmm.
and we just measure down 2 pips. Well, when I was seeing what was happening, a lot of times, depending on what pair you're working with, 2 pips may work. Other pairs you may need 3 or 4. What I felt was more significant was where was the close below. We have an anchor, we have a hit. Now we didn't really get the third hit because we don't have that third hit in the middle. But if we did, I would take this box and I would take it from where the first rejection of the trend line was to, in this case, I'm going to use my B. And I'm looking to see where the lowest close, the bottom of the lowest blue candle, and I want to see it close. Normally I would start like with this area. Let me just take this out, take this one away. Normally I would start with saying, okay, if I have a close below the D to the B, I want to see, my first thought was I want to see a close inside this box. But if you look and see where there's really, I'm looking for a close at the lowest close. I want to see a close below. The fact this thing's so close, I would rather see a close below this blue candle. So I'm going to move this thing down here to the blue candle and then move this to the bottom of the B. And then here's where I want to see, this is my new zone where I want to see it close inside this zone. If I get a red candle close inside here, that means I know it's closed below this area. The red, this, you can see these are basically the same price.
Yes.
Okay. So whether call it say below the blue or below the red, either one, it's the same point.
Mm-hmm.
And you see where it came down, it broke the wedge, it closed below the wedge, but it couldn't close below this area. And so what I want to see is I want to see it come down, close inside this, and then if it rejects, because you can just like it came down, close below the wedge, we say, oh, we're ready to get in here. But look how far it went back to against us, and we've taken our stops out.
Right.
So what I'm looking at is seeing just a little bit more confirmation that this thing's going to break to the downside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And now if I look and see where the B is, now if I were to redraw this, I could say, here's my hit. It's still a valid trend line because it's still a higher, here's a low, it's still a higher low. Not by a lot, but still higher.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And now I'm looking to see, I want to see it close into this zone.
Okay.
So, because again, you're looking for a high, a low, or a low, a high, lower high, higher low. Now we had the break of this, and now it's retesting this area. So really the range that we're trading in right now is really in this area right here. This is our box. Between here, there's our box. This is the range we're trading in. And if you draw our fib lines inside this range, what you want to do is you want to see is that are we trading in the upper 25%, which is basically here, came up to 25% and rejected, came down to the lower 25%, rejected it. Now if we can get a break outside of this area, because really right here is our demand zone. And up here is our supply zone. You can take this, and right in the middle is where we have our no man's land that we want to stay out of. I think this is it right there. Yep. So now I can take all this other stuff away. Now the question is it going to break the box? Are we going to get the close inside below this lower level? Our RSIs, the Canadian is 3 on the 5-minute, spread of 3. Where's it on the 15? 15, we have a spread of 3. We have a spread of 3 here. We have a spread of 4 here. If we get to close inside this blue zone, where I want to say I want to take it short on the close, we'll come back and retest the wedge. Now I'm going to still move this thing back up here because that's where the alert, with low, it already violated it. Now it's coming to retest this blue area. And if we get that to close below, we're looking over here to see how far, where's our next target going to be. Go to my 15-minute chart, maybe even go to a higher time frame so I can catch where this is. Here's the wick of the 1 hour chart. And now once we get a close below this area, which is going to be basically in that box, here's our next target way down here. This is all clean shot. There's nothing stopping it in here. So here's my target zone right in here. I'll make this the band. And let's see what happens here. Let's get back on the 1 minute chart and see if we can take this trade. I'm going to take this area, I'm going to take this off so we can see a little bit better. Now we're going to get the close. This is a US CAD, and we're looking at possibly going short with it. How much time do we have here? We have 14 seconds. This would be to sell if it closes inside that box. And this is on a, right now we had a 10, this is the first minute of a 5-minute candle right there. There's our close, here's the entry. Oops, oh, what'd I do? What'd I just do?
You just switch pairs. That's it.
Is that what I did?
Yeah, I think so. You're on the
Oh, I
US.
did. Yeah, that's what I did. I hit the wrong key on my keyboard is what happened. We were at US
Down
CAD.
two. Down to.
There we are. There we are. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So here's our close. Got the close. Let me get my, trying to get this thing, move this out of the way and get my sell point. I'm going to go sell. And I'm just going to go with the sell in the market on this. I'll move this all the way down here for a possible target. And we're going to go to our 5-minute chart and see where we're at with this. And you could wait for the 5-minute candle to close. There's nothing wrong with that.
So Al, you want the candle to close within that blue box or beyond?
Well, within or beyond.
All right. Just want
Yeah, I want it to at least be,
that.
I want it to close at least in or beyond that box. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I also look at my clock and see how much time I have left on the candle. And right now we're at less than 1 minute on the 5-minute candle. We've already confirmed it on the 1 minute. But we've had two, right now we have a nice red candle, blue candle, followed by another red candle. That's a basing. Have a drop, here's the base. I'm okay taking the short at any time. Put this out of the way. And we'll see what happens here. Everything shows Canadians still strong by 2, strong by 2, strong by 2. Everything's pointing down. RSI is pointing down. We already had the hook. We had this thing came down and hooked back again after. See this little basing that came down, hooked at the A9, came back, couldn't even closed above the 8 moving average and hooked again. Plus we have a basing as a drop, red candle, one small blue candle followed by 2 more red candles. Right now I'm just looking at it, tracking it down with the visual stop is going to be pretty much my yellow line. And we use this for a visual. It should keep on going at least for a little. It should not. Let me see. Maybe I make this the. Let me get my chart up here so I can see what I'm doing. There's the beginning of my stop zone. Here's my 7 pip target. I think 7 pips. Yep. Look at my fib lines on, see where my fib lines are. Here's the green line, so I could probably at least, I believe we're gonna at least probably test. I'm gonna leave it down to about there. That gives me 14 pips. There's my 7 pips on the one trade. Here's an 8 on a 9 on another one. Hit my target already. I still have one more position left, and I'm not going to let it go too far against me, and then I'm just going to be out of them. Out, and I am out of that trade. See, I came right down to the green line, broke the this is 7 pips apart. We had our blue line right up here was where it came down, broke the blue line, tested it, and then broke the 7 pips here. It came right down. So this was a 14 pip move right there from where we got the close. Actually, not quite 14 because you had to wait for the close inside that area. But this trade still, it could come back up and retest this area, and a lot of times you'll see that. You'll see it there where we got in because we got the close. That was the area that we're looking now. It's going to retest. And if you feel like hanging on to the trade, just keep on hanging on to it as long as you have those that doesn't close above your yellow or above the green. I prefer to look at it on the 5-minute chart for that, with that factor, because it's the 1 minute will whip you around a little bit more. But right now, as everything's in the right direction, all of our moving averages are still red. Everything's still pointing down. And we're still above that area where we said that there was nothing to stop it until it got down to this area.
Yep, just took about 11 pips.
There you go. Congratulations there, Ruben. Anybody else taking this trade? Raise your hand if you did.
Yeah, I grabbed 8 pips on it.
Oh, good, Rajiv. That's about as clean of an entry as it gets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really, really nice entry. Everything was pretty much perfect on that trade. I'm gonna hold on until what? I said 1-3. Where did I put my take profit?
Well, I said, what's your price?
1.31100. So we'll see.
31100. 31. Basically, right about to 3111, basically 3110.
Yeah, 3111 or so. I like that spot.
Yeah, and what that does is it keeps us right up just above where this area was that we were looking at with our over here. And remember I said, here was where here's where our supply was. This is where I said I want to see a close in or below that area. Well, right over here, look at this big blue candle over here. And you see this is a little bit of wick over wick. It came down. Here's the wick. But this strong move came. It didn't go any lower. We had this little area right in. Let me just draw this, see if it matches with this. I'm kind of curious. See a little wick over wick? That's right in that area where I said I wanted to see it close. Now this is a little bit higher, but this is the wick. But when it came up, there was nothing to stop it. It came up, closed the candle out. This is a 30-minute candle, and only pulled back to that area right in there. And up from that little wick, so there was a few buyers or people who was taking profits or whatever that was going on there, but there was nothing to stop it. And so now that it broke through, there's really nothing to stop it to come down to until you get to this wick down here, and that's why I have this zone. And what Matt's saying is I'm just going to take my profit before it gets there. And if we look at our fib line, here's our fib line, here's our green fib line. This thing went right in the middle between the red line. I'll tell you what, if I draw a Fibonacci zone, you're going to find out this is probably going to be right about the center where that thing stopped. Between this red line, there's a fib line there, here's a fib line here. And this thing stopped right at the, basically almost right in the middle of that zone. Here's 50% right in here. And then rejected, come back, it's coming back up, it's retesting it. It's going to retest this red fib line. It passed it, it's going back and recheck it again. And if it can't close above this box, it's probably going to come back down and retest this area. That's a 30-minute. Let's just put it back on a 5-minute here. Came right back up, came up, hit the zone, was rejected, and we'll see what happens. Still, all our moving averages are still in a good spot. It broke out of the box. There's where, remember we had our demand zone down here where the B was. And it just broke through that. Any questions? What time is it? 9:30? Oh, it's almost 9:30. We could take a little break right now and come back, and we'll do about another half an hour, and I'll be here. But let's go and take a break since this trade is, you can monitor it, and I'll be here if anybody wants to stick around and ask any questions. I'll just let this be open mic right now. Raise your hand if you have a question, and okay, I'll turn your mics on. I'll go Rajiv. You've got the mic. Over the hands. Not hearing anything.
Hello.
There you go. Now I hear you.
Hi, Al. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Actually, your strategy, I've started practicing a little more. The one we had discussion yesterday about divergence and other stuff, and it is actually working out well.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I'm able to put in practice, and I'm able to kind of duplicate the work which you do in the morning. I try to do it the day, and it is working out well. So thank you.
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you. Thank you for the vote of confidence.
And the only thing is, as I grow in confidence, I'm able to take more trades. I'm still kind of trying to practice during the day in demo, and just to make sure that I have.
Well, let's just say I practice every day in demo. I get my trades, I practice in demo, and when I'm done trading, I'm still practicing in demo. I find out that certain times of day they work out better.
Right.
But it's still worth. I just don't think you can practice enough, and better to do it in demo, but also not be afraid to take live trades. But keep it small when your account. like we also say before, is don't trade. I mean, we say over and over again, don't trade money you can't afford to lose. And I
Right. Right.
maintain that if you trade money that you can afford to lose and get consistent with that money that you can afford to lose, that money gets to be the point where you can live off of that money
Right.
as you grow
True.
the account. Yeah, but it takes patience and takes discipline.
It is. It is actually. You're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm working on that. So I hopefully I should be in a better position as the
Good.
time goes by.
Oh, good. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Just put your mic up and I'll turn it on for you.
Well, it's me.
Oh, Christine, I always recognize your voice.
Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's my birthday week.
Yes,
We
exactly.
we do birthday weeks around here, not birthday months or birthday days.
My sister does the same thing. Week.
Yeah.
It's nice, but anyway, now have we has everything been worked out with having like the whole moving averages, you know, like how they were trying to package that and stuff?
Yes. Well, I was in conversation with Anthony and John yesterday, and Anthony is getting he had to get to John to get some sort of something with TradingView to make the script to be able to get authorization to post the script. They were working on that yesterday, as best I know. In fact, while you're on thinking about, let me see if I can find if they got that done or not.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. Let me see.
As well as like with the RCSs, that's
and basically they're going to do it together. And what we're going to do is we're going to have everybody give us, if I this for everybody in the room, if you're still listening, is email Hawkeye@AuvoriaPrime.com with your login username for your TradingView account. And then once we get that, then we're going to put it into a spreadsheet, and then we're going to get everybody activated in the TradingView, and we're going to do that for, hopefully it won't be for too many weeks. And then once these other 4 programs get launched by Auvoria Prime, then they're going to work on getting this thing packaged up with the AIRIS. And it sounds to me like what they're going to try and do is when you have your AIRIS account, it'll be part of the package of subscribing to AIRIS. You'll get the indicators and the Fibonacci tool, all those things that you see on my chart. You'll get access to that.
okay, great.
So, but anyway, until Auvoria Prime is able to make that all happen, we're going to give everybody that wants it a free version of it to use in the interim.
Okay,
And
so
hopefully we'll get that. I'm hoping I'll get that logged in so I can actually. He's going to send it. He's going to post it, and then I'll see if I can load it on my charts. And then if I can get it loaded on my charts, then we should just be able to load everybody's username into the authorization script, and you should have access to it then. And then once that happens, I'll show everybody how to get it loaded up. Okay.
okay, so we should wait for your indication before we send our username to Auvoria.
No, I would just send your username. You can do that now, anytime now, at Hawkeye.
Right.
To be Hawkeye@AuvoriaPrime.com,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll get the email. Then Brian and I will pick up the email, and then we'll forward that username on to Anthony, and we should get everybody up and running here pretty soon.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's the
Thank
plan,
you.
anyway. That's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I apologize. It's taken so long to get that actually activated, but we haven't stopped working on it. It's just been taking a long time getting everybody together, and
There's a lot of cogs in the wheel, you know.
yeah, there's a lot of cogs in the wheel, a lot of hoops to jump through in order to make it all happen. But we're still plugging away at it, and so.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And it's almost 9:30. It's going to be one more minute. The market's going to open up, and we may get some more alerts. We'll see if there's anything new developing. Why did that happen here? There it goes. Nothing new right now. Whoops, keeps on changing back and forth. Why is it doing that? Let's see, let's get back to the chart. You know, I try not to get my screens, my charts as cluttered up as they get. I think sometimes they get a little cluttered for me even. I'm sure it's annoying for a lot of you folks. I don't know how to get the information there without as many lines and trend lines. I try and keep it as clean as I can, but sometimes I just can't do it effectively.
No, it's very helpful.
It's the nature of the beast.
I find it very helpful, even though it's sometimes it's a little cluttered, but
It
it
does
at
get a
least
little.
knows where your frame of mind is and where you're going and why, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Mm.
Let's see. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and actually I never did pause the recording, I don't think. Well, it's 9:30. We're back in business again. We're going to just keep on plugging along here for about another half hour, and we'll see if we can get another alert. And nothing new right now. I thought we might have gotten one at 9:30, but we didn't. So we still can use this as open mic questions and answers. If anybody has any questions, just go ahead and activate your microphone, and I'll turn it on for you. Matt, you were saying something earlier about wanting to show something on your chart. Do you still want to do that, or?
No, it's too messy.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's just a pitchfork I drew like probably 2 weeks ago. And that bounce where price stopped was right on the pitchfork, and that bottom was right on the pitchfork. So it's like it nailed it from like a couple weeks back.
You talking about this the U.S. CAD trade?
No, the previous one.
What was that one? That was the
Aussie, I think.
Aussie,
I don't know.
Aussie
Anyway, I
US.
thought it was pretty cool, but there's too much. So
Okay, all right. Yeah, I know the pitchforks and harmonics are really good tools, and unfortunately, it's a whole nother learning process to learn how to use those. And I get torn whether or not how much to present in here because of the complexity of it. So let's see, it's 9:30. The U.S. market has opened, and right now we're just sort of waiting for another alert to show up, or we can keep on playing with this U.S. CAD trade since it's still in play. Still following that moving average down on your 5-minute chart. I like if I'm going to trail this, I like doing it off the 5-minute chart because the 1 minute will get you too many whipsaws. But right now, as long as you can see this, where you have a nice little drop at base, you have 4 red candles, 1 blue candle, another red candle. There's a good chance, and it came right back up and retested this area. There's a good chance it's going to keep on going down. I'm not going to jump into it because I'm already out of the trade. But if you're still in it, you may want to go and keep one position open and see if you can reach it down to this area. I think it's going to get there. And you've only got probably between the pullback to here is 7 pips. And I guess if you were just trying to get in right now, you'd probably be filled right about in here. And then you'd be at 21 to 13. We could still probably get another 7 pips out of it here. These are on the 5-minute chart, these are 21 pips apart. Let's see the Aussie. What's the Aussie do? Aussie's still climbing up and away.
because this U.S. CAD-L was kind of picture perfect initially, like on your newer entry system. Now, would it be beneficial, like, you know how you had gotten out already, but Matt's still in, like taking 2 positions, and then have one be like take your initial profits, and then that's just basically trade management,
Exactly. And that's really,
right?
every time, I generally don't do that, although for as much as I would like to do it, I generally don't.
Yeah.
Because what I find for myself more often than not is if I take 2 positions, uh, I have a hard time staying in it long enough to grab that out to where that turnaround point is. And I'm usually find out that, well, if I had 2 positions, just take the profit off the 2 and pretty much doubles my profits anyway. And that way I don't have to think about it, don't have to worry about it coming in. Nothing I hate worse than being profitable by 10 or 15 pips and then give it all back because I got stopped out on a retracement. So I have a hard time. I'm happy with just get my 7 to 10 pips, close out the trade, and then just wait for the next one. Because normally with just that one trade, I mean, today is a little bit different because I got stopped out a couple of times, so I'm still negative for the day, but I made up a huge amount of my losses on those last couple of trades just by I had that one good trade that made up for a lot of the losses. And like I said, there's a good chance. I mean, in fact, even like with this, you can see a nice drop down. You're starting to form another little wedge. We have this low. Oh, come on. Wait a minute. Here we go. So we have this. Here's a pivot high. Here's a pivot low. Now we're looking for a lower high somewhere up around in here. And we'll just sort of tag this out. So right now it's kind of trading inside this area. As long as they can stay within this trend line, doesn't break the top of the bottom of the wedge. Now it could go. This thing could go all the way up to here and still be okay. But because that's all it's doing now, then it's just finding a new basing area where it's just basing in a range. But well, this nice little pullback right here, you can say that this is where the drop was. Here's the red top of the red candle that it hasn't closed above. Here's a blue candle high. Here's a blue candle low. I'm just going to tweak it back and put my trend line right at the bottom, right over in here. If you follow where the D is, if you look and see where this dotted line of the cursor is, I just sort of put that right at the bottom of the blue candle for the apex of where my wedge is. And now if I get it closed below this area right here, I could be aggressive and try and take the trade. See how I did that? Does that make sense? Because actually what you're doing, you really have another wedge, nice strong move down. It shouldn't really retrace more. If it retraced much more than the top of this wedge, which would basically be about a 60% retracement. If I draw this out, I have, here's the top. This is where the whole thing started. Comes on down. And if things pulls back to where this would be a 50% retracement, right to where this yellow, where the C is basically, that's 50% retracement, then there's a good chance that this thing is going to come down and retest this area, which is right where our green target is. Right in this zone right here. Actually, could make this, I'm just relabel this as a target zone. Let's save this one. Right there. And that's off of this Fibonacci retracement tool. But I would still like to see, I would want to see this little mini wedge right here I'll make this one white because this was more of a trending type of thing. Try and change colors for have things color coded. And so if I can get I'd be looking at a close below this blue candle and somewhere below this red candle, somewhere in this area right here to continue the short. But like I said, if this is 31.26, this is 31. You basically 6 pips from here to here. You've got 6 pips. But here's a high, here's a low, here's a lower high. Looking for a lower low or a higher low somewhere up here, and then a break. And so I'd be looking at, if let's say if we do get a break, somewhere in here, then I'd be looking at this supplies, this little box that we draw. I want to see it close somewhere in this area, below the blue candle or below the wedge, whichever comes first. Actually, I still want to see a break wherever I draw the bottom, wherever I get the second and third hit of this wedge. I would want to see a close below the closest blue candle to the break of it. And as we see more examples, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Probably the cobwebs is in my head, but I didn't get what you were just doing. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, we have basically this is not, we're already out of the wedge. Right now it's trending.
Mhm.
And so I'm looking to see where, if it's trending, whenever you have a trending, it's going to have an impulse wave, a reaction wave, and then a continuation. So here's like, and you can almost look like an ABC count. Like here's a long move down. Here's the consolidation. Long move down, consolidation. So if I were to draw this, let's just take it from this mark right here. Here's where we actually got into this thing. But let's say we had here's the high, here's a low, here's our secondary high, and then we have the break. Here's our blue candle that we're trying to close below. We get to close below here. This is where we got in. This is where we could have gotten in, and then we had the break. And we have to move down. Came back up, retested this. So now I can take this and move it down here, and I'm going to use the highest red candle that doesn't get penetrated by a blue candle. So right there, that's my A. Here's my blue candle that came right up into the zone. So I'm going to mark that as my C area. And then we have here's the blue candle that I want to see it close into this area. And we don't have to break of the wedge. If this would be an early entry, you could wait for it to break the wedge and close. But if you want to try to get an earlier entry before the break, then you could actually say, okay, if I get a close below this blue candle, I'm getting a lower, actually be the red candle actually. Because the red candle this is where the buyers came back in again. So if the buyers can come back in again here, if this red candle can come down and close inside this box and close below the wedge, then you have another shot down to this area.
Okay.
This would be an early entry for any time in the blue zone. The more conservative entry, although you'd be giving up pips, would be for the break of the wedge.
Okay, so you're doing a continuation.
This is looking at the continuation.
Okay, this one.
I'm kind of still working on the particulars of this type of price action. I'm still kind of working on how to validate justifying go for the longer moves.
Okay.
Right now, the best thing I have going for me is the fact that we have the break of the zone from the original break, got the close, went down, made our pips, came back in, retested the zone, retested the yellow line. And as long as this doesn't get violated, so you have a couple barriers. You have one, the wedge, which should be a barrier. So we wanted to not break where it left this zone and broke, coming back up to retest this. If this fails, you still have the bottom of the wedge. If that fails, now the question is how far back do you want to go to? Do you want to risk to catch that the continuation of this move? If you look at where it is, like from the low, if you see you got in, let's say you got in here and you use this for a stop, that's a 20 pip stop. That's pretty high. You come in and use the top of your wedge, that's 11. That's a little bit better. I generally like to see that if you have a strong move down, that here's where the buyers were, right up in this area right in here. That's where the buyers came in to drive it down. That's as high as this blue candle could go before it lost control. And this is now and when that blue candle got violated and closed below it, that's where all the buyers lost control and the sellers are still taking over. They came up and retested, the buyers came and retested, and they still couldn't hold it, push it up any higher. Sellers still have control. Now, if we get a close inside this box, they say you could probably maybe take this thing short. If I don't do this on the demo, I'm still in this trade here right now because I was looking for this for the target. My stop is still up here by this zone. So if I move my stop up here, say above the top of the wick of this blue candle, that's a 15 pip stop from where it is right now, which is still okay. It's above the fib line, it's above the trend line, and I would be out of it before it probably hit up there. But that keeps me out of harm's way. It allows me to not get stopped out without me making that decision. And so now if I want to take it short again, if I get the close on this, let's check our 1 minute candle. We had to close the 1 minute candle right here. It's breaking the trend line. I prefer to see it break the trend line as well as the blue candle. Here's our blue candle right there.
What's your lot size, Al?
This one this is just a random number I just put in there. There's a good chance that Ormonte's not gonna let me take it anyway, so they're pretty particular. Let me just see if it takes it. See, it doesn't let me take it. I could bring this down to like 1,000. See if it let me take that. There it goes. Awan is very particular about how much money you have in this is all demo account, but even with a $40,000 demo account, it doesn't let me take the second trade very easily. Another reason why I don't like the American brokers. It's not the broker's fault. It's just the SEC regulations.
It's the Americans' fault. No, just kidding.
It is. Well, it is. It's the American. It's the government regulations that are imposed on the brokers.
Yeah, it's the regulators, and it's also that Canada did the same thing. They kind of piggybacked on what the U.S. did. So our brokers here only allow 50 times leverage, and it's capped at that. The only way to get anything more is to go overseas. And I don't know if FIFO is a Canadian thing as well, if they adopted that, but I do know that the leverage was adopted.
Yeah, and that's why we use the international brokers. And you see, like, it came right up to our zone. Moving averages hooked back over. It never did break the 62 on this one. Came up, zone, didn't hold the 62. The green crossed the yellow again, and I would have been able to, if looking at the moving averages where I got the green cross, look at it to close below this blue candle. That gives you a lower close, and still
Sorry.
You see how that works? Is that you got the cross, so you had the pullback, had the momentum against you, came back with you again. You got in either here or here. Take your pick which one you want to use. You got the close below, and you're able to enter off of this red candle right there. This one you could have done off of this red candle. You had a little bit of a, if you did this blue candle, you could have entered short on this one. You did have to take a little heat. On the secondary one, if you use this one and you get to close, there was very little pullback. And now we've got the close in here. See, this would have been the early entry. This is the valid entry right now because of here's the low. But this is our target. But now you see how many pips you actually gave up, because you still have given up probably almost 2 pips if you entered on this blue candle or this red candle here. If you have entered on this candle at 31.25, your fill probably would have been 31.23. Right there, that would have been your fill. Let me see if I can get over here where I can do this market. Here's 23. Here's where your fill would have been. And so you that extra couple of pips makes a big difference if you're going to hit your 5 pip target. This was a little bit of a, I mean, it came right down here and pushed it right back up again. That's a little bit of a, so obviously there were some buyers in here that pushed it back up. Now the question is, are they still going to have control? I said we may be getting near the end of our move here. Well, it looks like we're just about out of time. I think 9:50 is the time we're supposed to be out of here. So any other questions?
No, thank you.
So it was a good morning. We had a couple good trades. We got whipsawed a little bit earlier on before we got started here this morning. But all in all, hopefully everybody made a little bit of money today. And we will see everybody on tomorrow on Friday.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
See y'all
you.
tomorrow.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
All right. Take care, everyone.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody. God bless.